y'all, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Ruthie, and today we're going to be doing the books that I read in 2024. Now, disclaimer, if you hear any background noises, my family is here and my nephew's running around the house, so that's probably him, or if you hear barking, that's my dog barking at him because he's going a little crazy. And if you see me looking down, I have my books written down right here because I'm filming my phone and I can't look at Goodreads. Anyways, let's get on with the video. The first book that I read in 2024 was The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I do not have the physical copy right now. My friend Kendall is borrowing it, and it is also not my book. It's my cousin's book, but she let Kendall borrow it. But anyways, this was a borrowed book that I read. I'm gonna pop the cover right here. You're sure whoever's reading books has heard of this book though. I gave this book 3 stars. I enjoyed it, but there was some things where it felt kind of slow and the drama was just there to be drama. I mean, I get that it's a celebrity, but besides that, it was just kind of slow for me. Not that 3 stars is bad at all. It's kind of in the middle, so that's why I'm not really, digging on it too bad. I liked the book, but it was really long and sometimes slow in parts. The next book that I read is Mockingjay by Suzanne Collins. This is also a borrowed book from my cousin. I gave this book 4 stars, and that is because, well, I just like the Hunger Games. So, I read the other 2 books in this series, Hunger Games and Catching Fire, maybe a year or 2 ago. But I just needed to finish the series, and I'm still not finished because I have to read The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I gave this book 4 stars, and I mean, that's kind of telling because it's Hunger Games. So, yeah. The third book that I read in 2024 is Heartstopper Volume 1. This is a graphic novel by Suzanne Collins. Oh my god, that's literally the Hunger Games author, not freaking Heartstopper. Heartstopper is written by Alice Oseman. Sorry. Don't know where my brain went there. This is about Nick and Charlie who meet in school and then they become relationship. So, yeah. It's really cute. I get 5 stars. I read this physically. Obviously. I mean, sometimes I have the physical books and I read them on audios. But really cute, easy to read. I probably could have finished this whole series because I have all the books. I just didn't this year, so I mean, I've read them before except for the 5th one. I just was rereading them because I restarted my Goodreads for this year because I was getting more serious about reading. So yeah, that's the 3rd book I read this year. The 4th book I read this year, I started the Throne of Glass series. I am currently reading Throne of Glass, which is technically the first book in the series. It's good, but that's how far I am into the series, and I started this at the beginning of the year. Yeah. Anyways, so The Assassin's Blade by Sarah J. Maas is the first one that I read in the series. I mean, it's kind of a prequel, so I'm glad that I read it first, but you definitely don't. They say you can read it anywhere in the series, but I decided to read it first because I thought it would be better that way. And I'm glad that I did because it gives some good background to Throne of Glass and why she is the way that she is, you know? So, I really like this book. I gave it 4 stars and I read it physically. As you can tell, I freaking annotated that bitch. I don't really have a lot to say about this. I mean, if you're into Sarah J. Maas, you kind of know how she writes, pretty good. Love the book. Ignore this stuff is from a different video that I filmed. You'll be able to see that on my channel after Christmas. But yeah, The Assassin's Blade is the 4th book that I read in 2024. The 5th book that I read is The Long Game by Elena Armas. I read this I read this physically, and I gave it 3 stars. Now, let me tell you why I gave it 3 stars. Not that that's a bad thing, but it just fell a little bit flat. Also, I don't know why the text is so small. Like, my eyeballs be hurting, bruh. But, also my foot's asleep, sorry. It hurts. Feel like it was really anticlimactic. Like, yeah, I got a little mad at, I don't even remember his name. The guy that Adeline, I guess is her name, was supposed to get married to and stuff, but basically the girl Adeline has this big old thing that happens with the team that I think it's a soccer team. Some kind of sports team. She has a whole debacle with that, and then her dad sends her away to the mountains. Is North Carolina? Yeah, North Carolina. And she meets Cameron. The only reason I read this book mainly was because somebody said that Cameron gives off Roy Kent vibes, and I love Ted Lasso, so I was like, okay, duh. I mean, he kind of does, but I was a bit disappointed in that aspect because he's not like super duper Roy Kent coded. He's just kind of a little bit grumpy, so they think, oh, that's Roy Kent. No. 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 They don't know Roy Kent like I know Roy Kent. Not Roy Kent. It's Cameron Caldoni. However you say his name. Caldani. Anyways, it wasn't that bad. I don't know why I'm being mean about it, but I gave it 3 stars, and I mean, yeah, it was just kind of a romance. There was kind of a twist in there that I liked. That's probably why it was 3 stars instead of lower than that. But yeah, not bad writing or anything. Maybe I should try a different Elena Armas book, but I also just like the cover. I think it's really cute. Number 6. The 6th book I read in 2024 was I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jennette McCurdy. I don't rate books like this because books like this, it's like a memoir or whatever. I don't rate memoirs because it's about a person's life, and that doesn't feel right to me. Also, I feel like it kind of just doesn't need a rating. It tells for itself, you know? But this book was really good, and I'm glad that I read it, or I listened to it. So I listened to it on audio. And it was narrated by Jennette, which I think is really cool. And it was a very heavy book. But I'm glad that I listened to it. It gave a lot of insight as to how things were and the way that she experienced things. I think it was a really good book to listen to and be able to deep dive into her life and what she went through while she was on, was it Nickelodeon? I think it was Nickelodeon. I can't remember. Can't remember which, like, kids area she was. But she's a child actress, so that's basically what the book is about and how her mom threw her into that. So, yeah. The 7th book I read in 2024 was The Summer I Turned Pretty by Jenny Han. I have actually already previously read this before this year, but I decided to read it again. I actually listened to it on audiobook, but I have the physical copy as well. It's alright. I mean, I don't think I really understood how cringy it was and how YA it was until I listened to it, because, you know, like, language is okay. I can imagine it a certain way in my own brain in this, like, while reading it, but listening to it, you get the extra cringe factor of them actually pronouncing things the way that they want, that the author thinks they should be pronounced, and you get, like, the weird cringe teenage attitude, and you get the weird cringe teenage, oh my god, I like him, and oh my god, I'm a grown-up now, you can't touch me, mom, like, you know, not touch me, like, you can't tell me what to do, blah blah blah, like, you know. But this book was narrated by Lola, who plays Belly in the show, which I think is really cool. And yeah, but it was still cringy. I think the show is a little bit cringy too, but I watched it anyways because it was fun to listen to. Watch. It was fun to watch, to see like it in front of my eyeballs after reading it once, and then I read it again now, and I still need to watch the rest of the show. But yeah. The 8th book I read, I don't have because I borrowed it from the library. I read Nick and Charlie by Alice Oseman. I gave that 4 stars. I can't really remember why because I don't remember the aspect of the book. Oh, that's right. I just remembered it. It was about Nick going off to college or uni or whatever, and their struggles with that, but it was a decent book. It wasn't too long or anything. It was cute. So that's why I gave it 4 stars, and I did borrow that from the library. The 9th book that I read, this is where we start getting good. I started to figure out that I like certain things, or maybe I just like this author, which seems to be the pattern here because I've read or listened to 2 books by her, and they have been phenomenal. I love them. So the 9th book that I read in 2024 is The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna. I gave that 5 stars, and I listened to it on audiobook through Libby, which is like a library app. 5 stars. This book started off a little bit like slow. I didn't know if I was going to be interested in it, but as the book went on, I kept catching myself being like, I need to listen to the rest of this book, and thinking about the characters, and just waiting until the next day at work, which is when I listen to books, to be able to continue the book. It is a long book, but it was so good, and I told my mom this, and she listened to it, and she loved it, and so maybe Kristen Hanna is just our girly, you know? The 10th book I also don't have a physical copy of is The Outsider by Stephen King. I listened to this one also, and it got 4 stars from me on Goodreads. This book was really interesting, and like I said, I didn't know if I was going to be interested in it, but it kept creeping me out, and I kept going back to it and wanting to know what was happening because what the heck. There is a show about that book. I think it's on Hulu. I don't know. Maybe it's on Prime. But I watched a little bit of it. It does not do the book justice. So if you've watched the show and you haven't read the book, I suggest you read the book because it does not do it justice. In my brain anyways. But I gave that book 4 stars. So I had 2 good reads in a row. And I also listened to that one on audio. The 11th book that I read in 2024 was Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. These books, you can tell, have been barely opened. Like, this was the new set that my mom got me one year for my birthday, I think. And I just haven't really opened them. Because I've read them before, so I was just like, I'll wait until I want to reread them. And I listened to it the last time that I reread it. Look at Harry. Anyways, I do want to disclaim something. I don't like J.K. Rowling as a person, but Harry Potter I read as a child, and it will always be nostalgic for me, so I gave it 5 stars, and I listened to this on an audiobook. It was a pretty good audiobook, but I didn't buy this, and I'm not buying J.K. Rowling stuff or Harry Potter stuff. That is unless I go to Universal, and then I'm gonna cave, but that's a different story. I don't buy Harry Potter stuff because I don't like to give J.K. Rowling money. However, if I go to Universal, forget that I said that. Anyways, like I said, it's just a nostalgia factor as to why this got 5 stars. Because I love Harry Potter, so now I want to go watch the movie. The next book that I read was Along Came a Spider by James Patterson. This is the first book in the Alex Cross series, and I know the show just came out on Prime. I haven't watched it yet, but I want to watch it. But I gave this 2 stars, and I had listened to it on audio. I did not like that book. It felt very, like, I don't know. one dimensional, like not maybe two dimensional. The character, like you don't know anything about Alex Cross's background really. You just see him be a cop and then or detective or whatever he is, and then you get his relationship with a girl and you move on. That has been my problem with this series so far, and you'll see why later, because I also went into the second book of that series. I don't know why I'm continuing the series if I think that it's bad. I just think it's funny, because the books are cringeworthy, but I think it's funny. So, the 13th book that I read, I also don't have a physical copy of, because I listened to it, is Night Work by Nora Roberts. I gave this 3 stars, and it was a really cute book. By the ending, but it kind of felt like there was supposed to be a twist, and there really wasn't. I don't remember the characters' names. I think the girl's name was Miranda, but I don't remember the guy's names. Booth? I think it was Booth. But that makes me think of Bones. Anyways, I gave it 3 stars. It was really cute in the end. A little bit of found family here and there. I cried. Literally, there's like 3 books this year that I read that had the topic of cancer in it, and that has been a really sensitive topic this year, but I don't know why that happened, and I don't know why I did that to myself, but it did. And that book wasn't bad. I just think it could have used like a little bit more of a twist than it had. So, 3 stars. The next book that I read was The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. Those are not my tabs. Those are my sister's tabs. I listened to this on audio. This is my book, but my sister tabbed it and annotated it. So maybe I'll give it a shot again, like in physical form, because my sister seemed to have enjoyed it. I thought it was a little bit cringe. Just a little bit, and the end fell a little bit flat for me, I guess. But it was still good. I gave it 3 stars. I don't know. It just felt like there wasn't a lot of substance there. I mean, there was a war and stuff, but still, I don't really think that helps the book at all. I get it was like a Greek mythology retelling of Achilles and stuff. But like I said, it just kind of didn't really have a lot of substance to me. The next book that I read was The Only One Left by Riley Sager, and I really enjoyed this book. I gave it 4 stars, and I listened to it on audio, which I think helped, actually. If I were reading this, I probably would have been like, okay, whatever. But I really like this book, and I don't really have a lot to say. I mean, this book is kind of about a murder. It's like a murder mystery, kind of, sort of, but the murder happened like 50 years before the time that the book is taking place, and this girl goes and gets assigned there as a caregiver for this old lady who they think was the killer, but they cannot throw her in jail because of not enough evidence or something, and so she has to take care of her, and it's really creepy to her. It was really interesting to me because I was just following along, kind of felt like I was there, just chilling in the corner of the house while everything was going down, you know what I mean? Just kind of felt like I was there. I was immersed in the book very well, so I gave it 4 stars. The next one is also a Kristen Hanna book, and it's The Women by Kristen Hanna. This one had me sobbing, bawling my eyes out. I wanted to curl up in the fetus position for her. The main character, Frankie, goes through a lot. This book is about the Vietnam War, and I gave it 5 stars, and I listened to it on audio. But this book is about the Vietnam War, and our main character, Frankie, she was a nurse in the war, and this book is all about the women in the war and what they experienced, and the fact that nobody talked about the women during the war or after the war. And it just kind of hits on her struggles, what she experienced when she was there, when she first got there, when she came home, and everything after that, and how much of a windy path her recovery was after the war. But yeah, it was a lot of crying for me for this book, and I'm glad that I read it through audio, like listened to it, because I don't know if it would have had that big of an impact on me if I read it outright, physically. I don't know. It could have. I don't know. The next one that I listened to is The October List by Jeffrey Deaver, and I listened to it, and I gave it 2 stars. It fell a little flat for me. My mom and my sister recommended this. Actually, my dad also recommended it. My dad's a big Jeffrey Deaver fan, and my sister's been getting into him, and my mom listened to The October List before I did. And I was like, hey, you got any suggestions? She said, listen to The October List. So I did, and it fell a little flat. I mean, it was an interesting plot, like the way that they did it, but the ending was kind of like, and I'm not going to say predictable, because it definitely wasn't that predictable, but it was still kind of like, you know. So I gave it 2 stars. I still liked the book, but the ending kind of messed it up for me. So 2 stars it is for that book. The 18th book that I listened to, well, I listened to this one, that I read in 2024 was Kiss the Girls by James Patterson. That was the second book in the Alex Cross series, and I hope the series gets better. The reason I keep going with the series is because I have a book on my bookshelf that is in the series, and I wanted to see what it was about. And if I have a book that's in the middle of the series, I need to start at the beginning. I don't care if they're not intertwined or anything. I need to. It's a mental thing. I don't know why I'm like that. However, I give this 1 star. This book was really fucking cringy. And the, bad guy in this book, there was a lot of, what the fuck moments in this. It's kind of why? Just why? Still, you barely get any background about Alex. I mean, you get some of his family in here now. You got his kids and his grandma in the first book. But in this book, you get a little more about his family. One of the almost victims is his niece. So you get a little more of his family. But what really set me off from this book was the bad guy. Just so cringy. And I feel like, I'm sorry to say this, but I feel like James Patterson just writes things and puts them out without caring if they're good, because why does this man have 50 million books out? I'd rather be a fan of an author who takes years and years to perfect their book and they only have 2 books out than sit here and read 50 million books from the same author and it feels like they put no effort into it, or that they don't care about if it's good or not. Because this series is just not, I don't even see how it got made into a TV show, because it's just not good so far. I am sitting here hoping it gets better, but I'm 2 books in and I have given it a 2 star on the first book and a 1 star on the second book. Come on, James. What are you doing? The last book that I have read in 2024 is Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. I continued this series because I love it. Once again, it got 5 stars for nostalgia points. And I listened to this on audio as well, just because it's easier. I can listen to it at work. But, oh look, it's Toby. It's Toby. And Draco in the bottom. But, yeah. I feel like I don't really have to say a lot about Harry Potter, because mainly it gets the high ratings because of nostalgia points. But they're still good. Come on. Who doesn't want to sit down and drink hot cocoa and watch Harry Potter? Who don't? That is the 19 books that I read in 2024. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you have any suggestions for books for me to read in 2025, they would be gladly appreciated. My goal this year for 2024 on Goodreads was 20 books, and I was so close. I just don't think I would have much time to finish another book. So, yeah, unfortunately, I was one book off. I think next year my goal is going to be 25. I don't want to go up super high because I don't want to stress myself out. But I did get almost to 20, and now that I have found Libby and I have found audiobooks and stuff, and it's easier to listen to at work, then I think I can do 25 next year. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you guys the next time that I see you. Bye.